Hey, everybody. Peace. I hope everyone is well this evening. Hope everyone is well this evening. Um, so we're doing a bonus round. Hey, so we're doing a bonus round this evening because unfortunately last week we went to go see Michelle Obama. So I want to honor our very, very special guest this evening. Marian, there she is. So Marian Bacol is here bringing us greetings. She is a transformational coach and she is also an empath. So just waiting for her to join our conversation. So I want to welcome everybody. So if people could, in the comments below, let us know where you're from. Hey, so Marian, if you could accept your invitation, I'm going to try it again. Hey, Carlos, how are you? So yeah, I sent you a request too, and it said that it was waiting for you to be added. So let's try it again. All right, so you should have a notification now to add you and to bring you in. And so for those of you who are tuning in for maybe the first time, my name is Ber-Henda and I'm a visionary empath coach, and I work with women who have the heightened sense of sensitivity, but also deep intuition and desire to create a better world. They, in particular, may have a gift. For some reason, it's saying our connection failed, Marian. So um, let me see if I have a notification. Yeah, much love to you, Carlos. It's been a while since we've been in touch, but I hope all is well. Yay! Hey there, how are you? Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Okay, you are amazing. Yes.
Okay,
Yay!
perfect. Okay. Technology takes a
Sometimes, but
while.
yay. So,
Let me adjust my lighting
oh
here. I have
sure,
a light
right?
specifically for lives. Yeah, so I have
Yeah.
to adjust it. Yeah, there you go. Okay,
Okay, perfect.
there you
All
go. That's
right.
better.
Hey Toya, hey Karen. So we have some people who are joining us this evening. Yay. I do
Awesome. I
too.
love lives. I do more on Instagram live, but I love Facebook
Yeah,
too.
lives are a
But
lot of
in general,
fun.
I
It's
love
it's
lives.
very engaging, very comfortable because you're like in the
Yeah.
comfort of your own space, and yeah, and you get
Yeah. It's
with friends.
FaceTiming with friends, but people are just like
It's a
talking too. It's a
conversation, and I
conversation. I
absolutely
love it.
adore it too. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm so excited. I read your bio and I'm just like, oh wow, transformation, transformational coach, women's leader. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So are you. It takes one to know one. So like attracts
Amen. I
like.
receive that. I receive
Uh-huh.
that. I
Uh-huh.
receive that. So,
Mhm.
yeah, so let's just jump into it. So, in your work through
Yeah.
trauma and transformation and upheaval, dark night of the soul, what has led you, to this work?
Um, my
Mm,
own transformation. You know, it's really, this type of work is not, this is not something years ago that I would have been like, yes, I'm going to work with survivors and do a lot of trauma healing and all of this. You know, ask me 6 years ago, and I still laugh at it. Like it's funny to me. Also incorporate meditation and holistic
Mm-hmm.
healing and wellness. 6 years ago, I would have laughed at you if I told you. If someone told me that, I was like, oh, you're gonna, you know, you meditate, you're a meditator, and you work with trauma and healing. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And like all this woo-woo stuff, I was just like, yeah, sure. But it's really with my own transformation. So I was a marketing exec for years. I've
Mm-hmm.
actually been in marketing for over 12 years. I grew up in LA, and I did a lot of work with restaurants, top chefs, food events, was in that scene. And I was really surviving through
Mm.
life. A lot of people are in life in a survival mode, but they don't even know it. They're surviving through work to get to the weekend. They're surviving in a
Ooh.
relationship that doesn't serve them or is toxic, but they feel like that's, you know, that's life. And I thought I actually was doing pretty well. On the outside, I checked off all the boxes, went to a great college, climbed up the corporate ladder, was a marketing exec by 28, sort of check, check, check. I had a great social life. I also started food blogging, and I had my own YouTube channel,
Oh.
did a lot of TV in LA. So on the outside, I sort of had all that. But internally, I was the
Mm.
complete opposite. I actually had severe anxiety. I was highly depressed, and I suffered from PTSD from childhood sexual abuse that I never addressed. It was one of those things that you kind of, that happened such a long time ago, you bury it, but it creeps up. And so I self-medicated a lot through drugs and alcohol, through partying, but I justified it because I'm not homeless. I have a great job, a career, kind of like all this on the outside. No one knows what's going on, so I'm good. So I'm actually doing better. And so that's how I lived my life. And I was very type
Right.
A. I mean, I still am, but very like high achiever. You know, I was always about business and now all that stuff. But that came crashing down in 2014 because I overdosed, and I had an out of body near death experience that like woke me up, like shook my entire life and just changed like my perspective on everything. And shortly after that, I bought a one-way ticket and I moved from LA to Miami with no plan, no barely any friends, no job. But I knew intuitively, even though I didn't know about intuition before, I didn't believe in all that stuff, that I had to do something
Mm.
to get out of that cycle. Uh, and I did. I came to Miami with no plan, no nothing. And for the first time in my life, I did
Yeah.
something that I had never done before, which was I
Yes.
went inward. And I had always looked for outside sources to heal. You know, I looked at, you know, work. I was a workaholic. I looked at relationships, substance, whatever it was. And for the first time, I went inward. So I just delved into meditation. And when I say delve, this wasn't like I got it overnight. I I truly believe that it's our choices, our moment by moment,
Mm-hmm.
minute by minute choices that truly take transformation. It's not an overnight thing. So I had to crawl before I could stand, and stand before I could walk. So I just started really diving into learning all that I could in books, podcasts. I worked with energy healers, shamans. I started meditating 1 minute, turned to two, turned to three, turned to 10, and just I had the most amazing, incredible, life-changing experiences. And I just started seeing this transformation within myself and how I viewed things and the awareness that I had. And I started sharing naturally what I was learning, my lifestyle that was changing. People just started asking me, and I actually, it's been 3 years now. I went publicly. I started
Yeah.
talking publicly about my story. I actually confronted my abuser, which
Ooh.
was my father. I confronted my, I told my family, and I wrote a blog post about it, just thinking that it was, you know, something I needed to do. And that really took a mind of its own. I had so much people like coming to me, like, how did you do that? How did you get over the shame? How are you able to put yourself out like this? And I started writing about it in articles, started, you know, doing interviews, and this really, my
Mm-hmm.
work just started unfolding. And this is what I teach my clients. It's sometimes we put purpose up here, like people like, I want to find my purpose, but oftentimes
Mm-hmm.
it's not like a one-time thing.
Yeah.
It unfolds for us as we start learning more about ourselves and what lights us up, you know. And that's how it started unfolding for me. I started helping other people. I started speaking. And that's really how my business naturally and organically grew, because I had been to that place, and other
Yeah.
women that I'm helping, and my clients are
Yes.
me 5-6 years ago,
Yeah.
and
Isn't
going
that
through that journey.
amazing?
So that's really how it unfolded. I
Yeah.
never would have thought
And
I
isn't
would be
that
in
so
this work.
amazing that, the
Yeah.
people that we're here to help and here to serve are living our story, maybe before the breakthrough, before we get where we are. I mean, you know, when I work with my clients too, it's like, oh my gosh, that was me 3 years ago, or this is me right now, or, everything that
Mm-hmm.
I went through
Yeah. Yeah.
helped me to better serve you. I
Yeah.
survived it. So there was so much purpose in it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, yes. And I truly believe that I see it now as
Oh,
a
of course
gift.
you
I
do.
would never wish
Yeah.
any of that trauma on anyone. However, like you said, I would not be to this point of awareness and consciousness and experience, and I wouldn't be able to serve and hold space for my clients the way that I do if I didn't go through what I went through. Like, I understand them in a level that some other people can't, or they've never felt it,
Mm-hmm.
that someone has understood them
Yeah.
before,
Yeah. And
you
it's
know?
like your ability
Mm-hmm.
to really connect with that empath within you, you're able to move
Mm-hmm.
with that person because you are that person. That story is you. And then that
Mm-hmm.
power that you reclaimed when you called your abuser out, named your abuser. I mean, I can just imagine
Mm-hmm.
someone with your same story tearfully reading your um your truth and you stepping more boldly. I mean, just the
Mm-hmm.
numbers are just so staggering to me, statistically about how many people and
Yeah.
that's just people who come forward who, yeah.
Exactly, exactly. The stats are from the Department of Justice. This was a study like a few years ago. 1 in 6 are girls, and every 8 minutes, that victim is a child. And that's what's just reported. And oftentimes,
Come
women of
on.
color do not report.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Do not report because there's so much shame and guilt around it. Um, I'm Asian American, and my own family did not support it. There were members in my own family who were like, "How could you throw us under the bus? How could you, tell that to other
That's
people?
shameful.
That's shameful. Like, how,
Yes.
it's supposed to
Yes.
keep it in." So you're supposed to keep it in the family. Why do you speak about it? Why are you still talking about it all the time? And you know what? I'm not talking about it to bring attention back to that. It's for the awareness, and so that I can hold space and give others
Yeah.
permission to
Yeah,
talk
and I
about
and
it.
I would definitely concur with you.
Mm-hmm.
As a fellow PLC, and in the African American community, when our shames or our taboos are brought to light, it's you victimize the victim. We do not out. We do
Mm-hmm.
not discuss publicly. Mental health definitely for sure. And then any
Mm-hmm.
history of
Mm-hmm.
abuse, neglect, whether it be sexual abuse, substance abuse, alcohol, it doesn't, you don't, anything, you just,
Domestic abuse,
you
anything.
grant
Yeah.
and bear it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure you probably um, have experienced this too with your clients. I feel like us empaths are the ones that are breaking like the generational curse. Like we're eliminating.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So
Yep.
many
Yeah.
ancestral
Yeah. Yeah.
wounds. So
Yeah.
many ancestral
Yeah.
wounds.
Yeah.
So many.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah. And I believe when we do, there's something I talk about. It's called conscious
Mm.
ripple effect, and I teach this to all my clients and anyone that I talk to. It's Think of it this way: when you start really become conscious of your acts and what you do, you think that you're helping just one person, but you're actually not. You're helping that one person, and that one person, how they change, they make an impact on the people that they see and the people that they
Mm-hmm.
encounter and live in their life. You help heal ancestral wounds, but also change the
That's right.
timeline for future generations.
Mm-mm.
So you're not just helping one person, it's actually this exponential ripple effect, that you
Mm-hmm.
don't even know what ripple effect you have. I still get comments from, so I have a podcast and I talk about this openly, or an article that I wrote from 2 years ago, on Elephant Journal, and I get emails still, like, oh, this was so helpful, and it's
Mm-hmm.
something that you don't think about anymore, or I had a client who I started working with because she heard my podcast, and she's all the way in
Amazing.
New Zealand.
Yeah.
I'm in Miami. Like
That's right.
the power of that. And after over 30 years, she was able to find the courage and the clarity to also come
Mm,
out with her story after
mm.
30
And
years.
I think it's something about that bravery
Yeah.
that, we give others permission to be just as brave. And it's like you are,
Mm-hmm.
yes, of course,
Yeah.
changing the paradigm of your own family, but you're also allowing through podcasts, through live video, through your, all your touch points,
Mm-hmm.
you're granting others that permission to be to claim their own truth and create and initiate like their own healing. And I just want to
Mm-hmm.
kind of go back to what you said about women and girls, well, girls specifically. Um, I'm noticing that a lot of the shift and change is happening, and it's happening in younger generations of girls. That there's this
Mm-hmm.
fire that's just, yeah,
Mm-hmm. Oh, I just got
yeah,
goosebumps like all
that
over. Mm-hmm.
they're being
Yeah.
summoned to be
Yes.
bolder, more
Yes.
courageous, to
Yes.
speak up.
Mm-hmm.
And, we,
Mm-hmm.
older women are like their shepherds, kind of guiding them. And I'm really
Mm-hmm.
excited to see, in 10 years, like where these girls are going to be, what they're going to be doing, the
Mm-hmm.
transformation that is happening as they watch us, as they watch you, me, and the women that are around them,
Mm-hmm.
just this permission. And so one of the exercises that I too practice with my girls, I run a girls program. I highly acknowledge their intuition. I make a big deal out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they say I feel, or Miss Williams, I don't know, I just have this feeling, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no, 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 no. You do know.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is a
Yes.
superpower.
Yes.
That is a superpower. Yeah. And we have to
Yes.
cultivate it. It is a muscle that we have been taught
Yes.
to suppress, that culture, society, whatever has taught us to, like, oh, you're just being crazy. You know,
Mm.
that intuition, that intuitive feeling, we just, that
Mm.
gut feeling that we feel in our bodies that we know. You know, our culture and society and TV, everything teaches us to detach from our bodies, that our bodies are really what tells us that, like,
Yeah.
oh, like you feel it, right? You get goosebumps, you get that
Yes.
shiver down your spine, whatever it is,
Yeah.
that intuitive feelings that even manifest in our body, but we're told to, like, oh, you're just being crazy or too
Yeah.
paranoid or
Yeah.
whatever it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
And I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited that, there's more work being done on empaths, and there's more work being done on cultivating, emotional intelligence, and cultivating intuition,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel that in this new kind of era that we're moving in, not dismissing, facts and figures and numbers, because I do think logic also has its place, but I also feel like art,
Mm-hmm.
expression, intuition, wisdom, they also have their place too.
Absolutely. Well, like with anything,
That's
with
right.
masculine energy, feminine energy, there's a place to it. Our left and right brain, there's a place for it. You know, it's this beautiful marriage of both of it
Yeah.
together that we have
Oh,
to honor.
absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Is there,
Yeah.
any client that when you worked with them, like their story might have been even like maybe too painful, or maybe there was like some discomfort because it hit closer to home than you realized?
Um, I definitely have that feeling of, I think I've done enough work where I can
Mm-hmm.
hold the space for others, but there are definitely other stories I've heard. I had a client who was actually sex trafficked by her own parents for years. And so she's still working through that. And just like the amount of, and I felt it in my body, like, and as empaths and as healers, we are, we feel it. But I've really gotten into the practice of also being
Oh,
able
sure.
to not
Mm-hmm.
hold that as my own, being
Mm-hmm.
able to hold space for it. But definitely in the beginning, when I first tried it, I kept a lot of it in, and I was like, why do I still feel this way, this heaviness, this? And I had to do a lot of my own work to be able to let that go, that this is not mine. I could hold a space for you, but I cannot hold it in, and as if it's mine, and being able to let that go. So I did have to consistently work on that
Yes,
and
it is.
continue to, because it's a practice. It's an absolute practice. We just get better at
Mm-hmm.
noticing it and flexing that muscle. But yes, there are definitely some stories from clients, and stories from people
Yes.
who message me and email me and DM me, And I'm
Oh
just
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oof,
Yeah.
yeah,
So if you can
yeah,
share, because I
yeah.
believe as an empath, it's also our responsibility to maintain our own energy and what we give out and what we allow
Mm-hmm.
to allow ourselves to absorb. So what are some techniques and strategies that you
Mm-hmm.
have that, especially after that really heavy phone call? And I'm sure even in some discovery calls, right? You
Mm-hmm.
even may, you know, what
Yeah,
are some things that
yeah.
you do to help yourself unplug and make sure that your energy stays balanced?
Absolutely. It's actually something that I teach
Mm.
called Thriver Basics. And everyone has some sort of form of it, but they have to find out what their basics are, which is basically their foundation. So I think of it as the eye of a storm in a hurricane. So while everything's going crazy, the safest, most calmest place is in the middle.
Mm.
It's the center. And it's how do we center ourselves? So we need things that we can, tools and techniques that are specific to us, that work for us. And for me,
Mm-hmm.
one is definitely meditation. Another one is I dance and move to like get that stagnant energy out, especially if it's something related to sexual trauma. We hold it in our hips and our
Mm.
lower areas. So a lot of women who hold it, it's all based in our root, our first, and
Yep.
our sacral chakra, our second. And we hold that there. So dancing and ecstatic dancing, any dancing actually moves that energy out, or yoga. So that's one of my Thriver basics. Another one is grounding, going to nature. I live in Miami. Sometimes I go to the beach or I put my feet
Yep.
on the ground, and that really helps. Um, and it's then it's journaling. For me, one of the reasons that I found the courage to actually talk in the beginning with my own story was I just journaled, and it was like such a cathartic experience, to let that energy out that I had never let out before. And so that's a practice that I continually use. I journal. So it's a combination of all those things of meditation, of journaling, of movement and dancing to let go of the stagnant energy so that I don't hold it in my own energetic space, and grounding. And it's sort of that,
Yeah,
that
I love what
combination.
you said, especially about in our chakras, and particularly like our lower area chakras, moving that energy out and ecstatic dance. And I have found like hula hooping is also a good
Mm-hmm.
way to.
Oh, yeah. I haven't
Yeah.
hula hooped in a long time. Oh, I like that. Yeah, because you
Yeah.
move
So
your
any of
hips.
like the
Yes.
sensual dances, belly
Yeah.
dance, hula,
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I
really?
used to hula going. Yeah, I used to hula in
Wow.
high school. Yeah.
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 So any of
Ah.
those kind of hip dances really help. And I also think it helps to,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um, you know, especially as a trauma survivor, you want to escape your body, right? So dancing helps you want to come back into your body. And I feel like
Yep.
it's a safe way
Yes.
to
Yes.
introduce yourself back to sexuality
Mm-hmm.
or sexual expression. It kind of gradually kind of brings
Mm-hmm.
you back in. So I
Yeah.
love that you dance. I think that's so powerful.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's true, we detach. And one of the things I actually learned was yin
Yes,
yoga.
yin
So I had been
yoga.
practicing yoga, but yoga is
Mm,
actually a very masculine. It's actually very people don't realize. They think, oh, yoga. It's actually a very
interesting. Yeah.
masculine energy. But yin yoga is more like and all these. And when I first started it, it's a lot of opening, heart opening. So
Hmm.
exposed, but you start realizing when you go through this in your head, like, why am I so, why is this striking a chord? What is moving through me? What are the thoughts that are going through me? And you start really facing a lot of that, and it's
Yes.
a beautiful experience. And so working with trauma informed yin yogis absolutely helps. And when I teach, I incorporate meditation. I'm a certified meditation teacher. I incorporate yin
Yeah.
yoga and those practices of putting your
Yes.
hand in your heart, on your sacral, on your belly, really
Oh
working
yeah.
through your breathing, and opening, like opening your chest, your heart. Like those are all so important. We think it's so like trivial and simple, but it's those tools that actually, once practiced
Yes,
regularly,
I
is just so
love that you do. I love
transformative.
yin yoga. I've had an opportunity to
Yeah.
practice myself. I absolutely love
Yeah.
the yin yoga. And thank you for sharing that. I wasn't aware that yoga inherently was a more masculine practice. So thank you,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, as you're talking about, opening the heart up and, some of those, the lower regions, the solar plexus and the sacral, you know, we don't always give enough credence you know, at all to the lives of women, but also the feminine characteristics that you just laid out. I think that that's also
Mm-hmm.
very powerful to
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge um,
Yeah.
the feminine way, and to help us
Yes.
women to reconnect to that sacred part of
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. And I think that when
Yes.
we do that, I
Yeah.
believe that as we do that, we help humanity to more fully engage itself, because I feel like more grounded
Mm-hmm.
women, more intuitive, enlightened, accepting women also give permission to others. And we're teaching, it's like we're reprogramming.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I love talking about this
Hand
because
raised.
a survivor turned thrive, yes, because survivor mode, survival energy is actually very masculine. It's actually an abundant. It's an overcorrection of too much masculine energy. And thriving, I talk about this with my clients in my upcoming book. There's three levels of consciousness: victim, survivor, and thriver. And for the longest time, I took pride in
Yeah.
survivor. I actually thought that was like, I'm a badass. Like I'm a survivor. And I started realizing through my own work that that's just
Yep.
right here. There's another threshold, another way of operating on consciousness and awareness where it's a balance of both, but honoring my feminine, which was receiving. And I have a lot of clients, and when I do my discovery calls, I call them my Thriver Clarity calls, women who are very, and I'm like, wow, you just sound just like me 5, 6 years ago, who are have their business together, have, yeah, a successful job,
Yeah.
6 figures, seven, whatever it is. He's like, but how come I can't find a man, a partner? And it's just this dominance of masculine energy because they're
Mm-hmm.
in survivor mode. And they're like, I give so much. I give so much. I'm like, but are you open to
Mm.
receiving? And
Yeah, it
receiving
is.
is a feminine energy. It is a feminine trait,
Oh
just
my
how we're
gosh. I
built in our
just said that.
anatomy.
I
It's
was in a group of women
receiving.
and I just said that. I said that anatomically we're
We are
set up to
receivers.
receive. It's even from that standpoint. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And how can we have love in our lives when we want to give and give, but we close it off to
Mm.
receiving? And so working with through that,
That's
that's
right.
when you really go into the thriver consciousness and you surpass
Yeah.
being just a
Yeah,
survivor and
yeah.
you thrive.
Oh yeah. There's yeah, as
Yeah.
I said, there's
Yeah.
levels to
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
There's so many levels, and I love that you're,
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging the pass through to each level, and acknowledging that there is a level beyond survivor. There is that thriver piece of it. So I heard you
Mm-hmm.
mention that you have a book coming up. Yes. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. I actually have a book. I'm by next
Okay.
year. I'm halfway through it, and it's called Survivor to Thriver:
Mm-hmm.
Learning to Thrive in Mind, Body, and Spirit. And it's really the first section talks about my story, and the majority is really the Thriver section because
Yes.
that's really where I want to focus. And it's called Thriver Lifestyle. That's the name of my company, the name of my podcast, because what we do, thriving, is not
Mm-mm.
a diet. It's not a one-time thing. As I mentioned, it's that moment by moment, it's that minute by
Yeah.
minute choice. It's a lifestyle. It's a
Oh
way
yeah.
of being and operating. And it's about catching ourselves and having that awareness when our thoughts start drifting into, oh, this thought, we have that awareness to steer it and focus because we actually can change the direction. You can't stop a thought, but you can
That's right.
redirect its energy because it's all energy. So, we can't like stop it. It's actually
Mm-hmm.
what can we do to replace it and reprogramming. So once we have that, we're like, nope, I choose not to go there, and this is what I replace it with. And we get into this reprogramming, and we really rewire our
Yeah.
brain and
And I
shift our
think that that's
mindset
so
that way.
powerful about the redirect, and
Yeah.
you know, um, understanding where our consciousness is, and being able to create those pivots and turns.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm so excited for your book. So I hope, and I'm going to hold you to this, when it's done, you'll let me know, and we can have you to come back on and
Yes,
maybe
yes,
read an excerpt
absolutely.
from it, take people through some
Mm-hmm.
exercises so that we can promote your book, and some of
Mm-hmm.
the wonderful things that you're offering into this world. And I think that at least for me,
Mm-hmm.
each interview just gets richer and deeper and more profound, and it's helping me as the host to be resolved. But I hope that people that are tuning in each week are walking away with a deeper sense of clarity, and understanding of what empaths are, and that it is a gift, that
Mm-hmm.
you can manage it. It's a superpower,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and we're waking up in
Mm-hmm.
this time and space because the world needs us. There's so much upheaval. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And if you're anyone who's listening to this, and if this resonates with you, that's because you're feeling that, there's a certain reason.
No.
I don't believe in coincidences. It's all synchronistic. If you are able to see it, watch it, it's meant for you. And there's a reason why, and it activates you, so don't push that down. Whoever's watching this or listening, don't push that down. Don't turn
That's
away
right.
from your superpower.
Yeah, that's right. And I
Yeah.
love that, we
Yeah.
get replays, and so people, catch it at a later time. That's one of the other things that I love about Facebook Live, is that it can be seen over and over and over again. And so, I just really hope that people feel um, enlightened, and they tap into their own love and their own superpowers to, come in and create, the lives that
Mm-hmm.
they deeply desire, and turn their pain into a purpose and something so much greater. Because, like you said, there's no such
Mm-hmm.
thing as
Mm-hmm.
um, a coincidence. It's all, synchronistic. It's all, part of, the divine plan. So I am just so grateful to be on
Mm-hmm.
this call with you. Well, this,
I'm grateful for you,
yeah,
holding the space, holding the
yeah,
space.
no, thank you. Because
Thank
I've
you.
been a weirdo, a little different, but I think that makes a difference. That's what we need right now. We need people that are unique and different and want to really embrace that. So, how can people get in touch with you?
I'm very active on Instagram, or you can go on my website, marianbacol-uba.com. And in Instagram, it's at MBACOLUBA. I'm very, very active there. I also have a podcast called Thriver Lifestyle Podcast. That's on iTunes, Google, and Stitcher. But yeah, probably the number one place to find all that
Okay,
information
so
is
she's on the
Instagram.
gram, people. Her
Yeah.
story is just
Mm-hmm.
so, oh my goodness. Um, a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, a workaholic, you know, self-medicator, has now taken every ounce of pain that life has given to her and has turned it into a powerful platform. And she is a light, helping to guide others. And I know that all of us have that same ability. There's no way that we can go through something so
Mm-hmm.
egregious in this way and it not serve a greater good in some way and somehow. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much, Marian. I've been looking forward to this. I'm so glad that we were able
Thank
to
you.
get this interview. So
Yes.
I will
Thank
definitely,
you.
once this is done, I'll send you the link. You can share it with your network as well.
Yes. I'll share it also on my
Yes,
my
yep,
profile. I
share
know
it,
I can
yep.
like
So
share
share
it
it
once
there.
this goes.
And
Yeah.
when that book is finished, please, from it, that you will let me know that the book is done, and we'll schedule a time to do an FB Live, and, you know, like two girlfriends have the conversation everybody gets to watch. Yeah, and then we
Yep.
can just celebrate and salute you, but just also the power of transformation. So anyone who is under the sound of my voice that is a survivor of anything, sexual abuse, substance
Hmm.
abuse, domestic abuse, there was pain, but there was a
Hmm.
purpose in that too. And so I'm hoping that for those of you who are coming in, hey Carmen, hey Leslie, hey Fed, hey Raquel, how are you guys? I hope that you take this message and you share it with someone that is going through, and is definitely like, I think there's like a recovery phase before you kind of get to some of the other
Hmm.
phases. Please share that,
Hmm.
because hearing the
Hmm.
survivor story is so empowering, especially in this era where we're still victim blaming, victim shaming. And I love that
Hmm.
there are movements, the Me Too movement and the Time Up movement that is happening, but there's still so much more work, to be done. And I love how you
Hmm.
said in the beginning of your interview that, in terms of the corporate part, you had that all together. On paper, everything was together. And I think that's also a coping mechanism, because I can control work. I can control how much I work.
Hmm.
Um, Best practices, I can control outcomes. Yeah. So
Hmm.
these are things that I
Hmm.
can control.
Yeah. And that was my anchor, that was my justification for, all the other things that I was doing that was damaging to my
Mm-hmm.
body, my soul, my mental health. But because I had, the title, the pay, all that stuff, I was like, that
Yeah.
justifies it. But
No,
yeah.
no.
It
because that's
doesn't.
a quick
It
way
doesn't.
into some anxiety and a heart attack and everything else that comes along with, yeah,
Hmm. Yeah. Don't wait until what happened to me for an OD and
a
have
near
and
death
a
experience.
near
Oh
death
my
experience. That
gosh.
was extreme. Yeah, don't go to extremes. And you know, when I think about it, I really like look back, there were so many times the universe had, God, what a higher power had tried to, you know, warn me, try to really shake me, but because we pushed
Mm,
down our
hmm.
intuition, we pushed all of
Yeah.
that down, I didn't listen,
Yeah. No,
you
I
know,
think that
so
that's
many
powerful
times. But
because I love, oh,
yeah.
I think Oprah said it best. At first, it starts as like as a tapping, and then it's kind of like a pebble, and then it's like a brick because it, yeah, God has
Oh
been
yeah.
trying to get your
Yeah.
attention, and you're just not paying attention. So now it
Yeah.
has to be so catastrophic. Yeah,
Oh, it was a truck that hit me.
yeah,
A
and then
school bus.
you're just ran over. So
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate
Mhm.
your candidness this evening, your tenderness, and I'll definitely be sharing all of your links and things so that people can stay in touch with you. But this has been rich, sacred time, and
Thank
I'm
you.
so glad that you were flexible, air schedule, that we could do this. So, yeah, so we want to
Yeah,
thank our
thank you.
guest, Marian. She said she's on IG, but I will put all her links on my page. If you go to my page now, her information is up, but I'll repost again and share. And so tune in. We do this typically every Tuesday, Tuesday at 6:30, but we had to have a bonus because I didn't want anyone to miss out on this woman's amazing transformational story. So follow me on Instagram under Ber-Henda. Go to the Be Intentional with Ber-Henda Williams community page on Facebook, and of course my website, berhendawilliams.com. Make sure you sign up for our newsletter because we have an 8-week Visionary Empath program coming. So we got some goodies. Yeah, we got some deliciousness
Ooh,
coming up for all of our fellow empaths. So again, thank you so much, Marian, for yeah, you're
thank you
such a
so
blessing.
much.
Thank you. Yeah.
So are
All
you.
right, so
Thank
we'll be
you.
in
Thank you,
touch.
everyone. All
All
right.
right, good night, everybody.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.